The subject title is risk management, and we are at unit number 2. Right? And in this unit, we will be studying what is the necessity of risk management, volatility, and how to measure volatility, concept of volatility, types and issue. In the last session also, we have learned need. Risk management is an important process because it empowers a business with the necessary tools so that it can adequately identify and deal with potential risks. Now, what are the tools we use to prosper our business? Tool like, say, budgetary control, standard costing, material costing, fund flow statement. So these are some financial tools which we can use to ensure and identify with the potential risk. And that is why we need to study risk management. Once a risk here has been identified, it is then easy to mitigate it. So first thing is you have to identify risk, and then only we can minimize the impact of risk. Now the another word, that is volatility. Volatility means what? Volatility, it is a risk of chance of price of portfolio as a result of changes in the volatility of risk factor. It usually applies to portfolios. As I give the example, in bank, suppose if you take example of bank sanctions various kind of loan. So this various kind of loan, bank can categorize different kind of loan. Now categorize means it is categorizing it is nothing but the making portfolio of that loan, as I told you. Now suppose if bank sanction loan for personal loan, educational loan, home loan, then vehicle loan. So these are loans which are given to the individual. So individual level loan. So that can be one portfolio. Another portfolio maybe bank issues loan to the for business purpose. Bank also finance for working capital requirement. Bank also allows CC. CC means cash credit. Bank also sanctions bank overdraft. So bank overdraft, CC, then business loan, working capital loan. These all loan are required by business. So this is another category of loan, that is business loan. One is individual loan, another one is business loan. So these are the example of portfolio. Now second paragraph, the quality or state of being volatile, such as tendency to change quickly. Now there is normal tendency to change quickly. Now what changes quickly in regards to the bank loan? Interest rate. Interest rate, every after 4-5 months there is a revision in interest rate, and these are the directives which is given by Reserve Bank of India. A loan from where you have taken, that bank do not have authority to change in the interest rate. Please understand. Authority it is with Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India declares monetary policy, and in their monetary policy they revise rate of interest. They also revise repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank reference rate. So these all our rates are declared by Reserve Bank of India through monetary policy, and monetary policy which is declared at a peak season as well as off season. Now peak season generally when there are festival, marriage season, that is known as peak season, and slack season generally during monsoon, that is a slack season. So these are the two seasons when monetary policies are declared. and then it continues for that entire season. Season generally it is of 5 to 6 months. Normally 6 months, one season. And then after 6 months, again RBI takes review of interest rate, and if they feel, then only the rates are changed. Now recently, in last month, Reserve Bank of India, they changed repo rate and reverse repo rate. And according to this change, each and every bank, they have also made their changes in the interest rate. So, and unpredictably price volatility, the volatility of stock market. So stock market is also one of the parameter for volatility. And we know that every day there is a fluctuation in stock market, that is in Sensex and Nifty. These are the two parameter where stock prices are reflected. Companies whose shares are listed on stock exchange, their market price of share is being reflected in Sensex and Nifty. And you might be aware that Sensex, there is a continuous volatility in Sensex index. Sensex means sen means sensitive and sex means index. Sensex, sensitive index, and that short form is Sensex. So sensitive, this market is very sensitive. Even a small news, like something goes wrong with, say, political instability, immediately it reflects on the Sensex movement. Even if something goes wrong with the owner of company means a big corporation, like say Reliance, Tata Motors, Tata Group, Reliance, then Birla Group. So even if there is a quarrel within family member, that also affects on the prices of share. That also affects on the Sensex rate. That is why it is known as sensitive index. This market is very sensitive. Each and every small or big issues has impact on the index, this Sensex. And whenever it has impact on stock market, then what happens? People, they start selling their shares. Generally, in our India, whenever the Sensex rate goes down, common investor, they got afraid and they start selling their shares. But a wise investor, a smart investor, never does like this. He always holds the share. Whenever there is a downtrend in stock market, in fact, such smart investor or wise investor, he purchases shares at a low rate and he keeps in his folder. But this category, there are very few people in this category, but large number of people, they start sell their share. Now the next one is concept. About the concept, volatility. It is a statistical measure of the dispersion of returns for a given security or market index. So this is nothing but about the statistics measure. There are some statistical measure which measures standard deviation and variances. So standard deviation, SD, in short, we know it is known as SD. Have you calculated standard deviation while studying in your college? Now those are from science background and engineering background, they might be aware of this word, standard deviation. Even commerce student, if they have subject statistics, so in that statistics subject, standard deviation chapter is there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, so you are aware that standard deviation, how to calculate that standard deviation. And variances. Now, what is variances? Variances, it is the part which is linked with finance subject, like material cost variances, labor cost variances. These are the two cost where we calculate variance. Variance means what? Difference between standard means difference between budgeted and actual. Difference between budgeted and actual, or we can say difference between standard and actual. As I give the example, suppose if a sweet making company is there, sweet making company like say Chitale Bandhu or Kaka Alwai. Now whatever things they prepare, like say bakarwadi or maybe mithai, sweet. So these big companies like say Kaka Alwai and Chitale Bandhu, they have developed their particular formula of component like say sugar, then khawa, maybe ghee and flour, etc. So they have designed their particular standard of mixing different components. So that is known as budgeted. Now, each and every outlet, if you purchase bakarwadi, maybe from Deccan or maybe at Shanipar, now in Pune, Kakalbai, they have several outlets throughout Pune city, Pune and Pimpri-Chinchwad. So you purchase from any outlet, you will find the same taste. Even if you purchase bakarwadi in say Shanipar area, and even if you purchase bakarwadi in Deccan area, the taste will not change. Taste will be remain same. And why it happens so? Because of their standard proportion. Standard proportion. Same formula is being applied by used by this thing. What we say, McDonald. So McDonald burger. Even if you are eating in Pune or if you are eating in Mumbai, you will find the same taste in Pune and Mumbai, because that standard which is designed by McDonald company, and everywhere the same standard is being followed. So I was trying to explain the variance. Variance, it is the difference between budgeted and actual. Now, if your actual value, if it is more than budgeted, then that variance is known as unfavorable variance. Please understand. What is unfavorable variance? Yes, please. In which situation unfavorable variance is called? Can you share me? In which situation unfavorable variance is called? Unfavorable variance, it happens when actual value is more than budgeted value. Actual value is more than standard value. That time it is known as unfavorable variance. Vice versa, favorable variance. When your actual value is lesser than standard or budgeted value, then it is known as favorable variance. Now, after calculating this favorable variance and unfavorable variance, a manager or say top management, they are more interested to know why this unfavorable variance. If unfavorable variance is shown against a particular, will ask to the responsible manager that why this unfavorable variance, what are the causes, what are the reason, and then that concerned manager, he is answerable to the top management. So this way, this helps top management to control lower level, middle level, as well as down level managers. So all managers are controlled through this technique, standard deviation or variances. So this was about concept. Now let us discuss about the types of volatility. Any doubts so far? Yes, please. Any doubts so far?
No, sir.
Now let us understand.
Sir,
yes.
Variance and covariance both are different, na?
Variance and
Covariance.
both are different. The variances means it is the difference between budgeted and actual. That is variance. Covariance, it is a different term.
Okay, sir.
It is different. Now, let us understand the types of volatility. Now, basically, there are three types of volatility. Number one is historical. Can you see my PPT?
Yes, sir.
So the first type is historical. Historical, which measures the fluctuation. Historical, simply it measures the fluctuation and it makes note in a particular register or in a document. So simply they write fluctuation. Now, for example, if you are calculating dollar to rupees rate every day. Now, suppose if today $1 means 78 rupees. Suppose this is the rate. Now, last month there was 70 rupees equals to $1. So here last month and this month the difference is 8 rupees. So that fluctuation will be indicated. That is known as historical. So historical means, now suppose today if you are calculating dollar today's rate. Now today it is almost, now it is 7:30. So now the day has completed. So this rate has become now historical. Tomorrow maybe a new rate. There might be a new rate. Are you getting me? That is why it is known as historical. Whether it is
Yes.
whether it is foreign currency rate or maybe weather rate. Weather means say climate condition, like say in winter weather department they indicate minimum temperature, and in summer maximum temperature is being recorded, and during monsoon the monsoon rate is being recorded by weather department. So what is the fluctuation last year? How summer was in Pune city, and this year in the same in the month of May, what is the situation in Pune city? So last year and this year, the fluctuation. My last year might be say 39 degree temperature, and this year suppose if it is 41 degree temperature or 40. So weather department will declare that this year the temperature has been increased by 2 degrees Celsius. So that way the fluctuation is being recorded. So it is nothing but the historical. Second type of volatility is impaired. Now what is this impaired? Impaired refers underlying assets. It is underlying assets. Let me give the very simple example. What is underlying assets? Now suppose if milk is there, milk, it is one of the asset, milk. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now from milk, what are the underlying products we prepare from milk? We can prepare paneer from milk. We can prepare curd from milk. We can also have a cream from milk, and from cream, what we prepare from cream? Can you answer me? From milk, we prepare curd. Dahi बनवतो आपण दुधापासून. We also prepare paneer from milk. So milk is the basic asset. Milk is the basic asset, and from this basic asset, we can have curd, we can have paneer, we can have cream, and from cream, what we prepare? Yes, please. From cream,
Ghee.
yes. From cream, then we prepare ghee. So ghee, paneer, curd, these are the underlying assets. त्याला काय म्हणतो आपण? Underlying assets. त्याच्या खालच्या ते assets आहेत. What is the basic asset? Basic asset is milk. Basic asset is milk. Similarly, in a commodity market, now take some corporate example, commodity market. Now in commodity market, there are lot of transactions which happens on the agricultural product, like say soya bean, maybe rice, wheat. So these commodity are being traded in the commodity market, and people they make investment in this commodity. Now, if you take the example of soybean, so from soybean, edible oil is prepared. So edible oil is the underlying asset. Main basic asset is soybean. From soybean, we can have edible oil. From soybean, we can also have some medicine. Medicines also being prepared from soybean. So medicine or edible oil, these are the example of underlying assets. So have you understood what is underlying asset? Underlying. समझ लगा what is underlying asset?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now third volatility type is future realize. Look at here. Future realize. Now what is this future realize? It is the market's forecast of a likely movement in a securities price. Now some people who are trading in say stock market say they always observe market. And how they observe market? They read newspaper, they also read some magazine, they search information through Google engine, search engine, and with this they collect a lot of data, and on the basis of that data they predict, they have some prediction in the market, that is known as forecasting. That maybe after 2-3 months this particular share may increase. So this is their just prediction on the basis of their experience, skill and knowledge. So there are many people in every field, not only in finance, but even in other field also. Some people, because of their experience and because of their knowledge, expertise, they predict. So here we are talking about the security price. So there are many organizations we have in India. There are many people at the individual level. They forecast likely movement in a security price. That particular price of share may increase or may be stable or may be decrease. So that kind of forecasting is being done. That is called as a future realize. So here there are two types of volatility. One is historical and second one is impaired, and the third one is future realize. Now, these are the three types of volatility. Now we will study issues. What are the issues involved with volatility? After understanding concept types, now we will learn about the issues. So let's go to the next slide. Can you see my slide? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Now, volatility issues. What is this? Volatility issues loosely measures asset price fluctuation. So this particular volatility, so it is not a very serious activity, but loosely measures asset price fluctuation. So this is one of the issue involved with volatility. Some people or some organization, they are not much serious about the measurement of volatility. So they just collect information from maybe historical or impaired or maybe from future realized, and they predict without having any, without applying their logic and senses. So asset price fluctuation. Next one is express as the standard deviation of price changes. And they express as the standard deviation of price changes. So that particular price of share may be stable or may be decrease or may go up. So that kind of movement is being declared. Now, what is the problem? The problem is that its underlying statistics assumption rarely reflect reality. And now let me tell you, this happens in every area, whether it is medical field or finance field or engineering field. Ultimately, we have some underlying statistics assumption. I told you the meaning of underlying. Basic, and below that there are some related things that is underlying. So those statistics is important for measuring impact. But sometimes what happens, other than statistical assumption, there are other assumptions which are being pursued by expert, and they define their opinion. So most of the time their opinion may not be correct one, Now you will be wondering that then how to trust on these volatility issues, and how to believe. Now believing and trusting, one should also have his own study. You should have knowledge of the statistical assumption plus your own observation. And if your own observation is also telling that this particular thing may increase, and statistical assumption is also saying that this will increase, so both your assumption conclusion, so in that case it will be there we can trust. But suppose if your own opinion is telling something else, and statistical assumption is giving different opinion, so there you will be in a dilemma. Dilemma means you are a little bit confused now what to do. Therefore volatility can be measured with certainty only ex post. So whatever has happened in the past, on the basis of that volatility is being measured. Future things many times it is unpredictable, we cannot predict because of say climatic condition or political condition. These are the things where we may not have correct information or hidden information, and that is why our guesses may be wrong one. Even then different methodologies yield different results. So there are different methods are available. As I told that standard deviation, then coefficient variances, coefficient. This is also one of the, as somebody asked me that, sir, variances and covariance is the same or different. So variances is different and covariances is different. In statistics, there is also another tool, coefficient. Have you heard this tool, coefficient? Hello? Hello? Am I audible? Yes, this coefficient, this is also one of the methods, standard deviation, coefficient. So these different methods gives us different result. Now again, you may be thinking that, sir, then how to trust? These methods will give you, we can say, the rough idea about that situation, rough idea. So it means in advance you are aware that this may happen. Now it is up to you whether to go with this or not to go with this. But this method will give you at least some hint. Now it is up to the person what is to be done. So basically these are some issues in order to volatility. Again, I highlight volatility means where different methods are used, and these methods give different results. So this is number one. And the number two, volatility loses majorly, volatility loosely measures asset price fluctuation. And because of this, what we say, casual approach, not serious approach. This casual approach gives some different results. So one should be serious about that. Now, how to measure volatility? Let us know about that. Measures of volatility. Now this is one, EWMA. What is this EWMA? maybe in your multiple choice question, if university conducts multiple choice of question, or maybe in your offline examination, they may ask you the long form of EWMA. Now EWMA is what? Expositionally. E stand for expositionally. Okay. Then W stand for weighted. W stand for weighted. M for moving, and A for average. So expositionally weighted moving average. That is the long form of EWMA. Expositionally weighted moving average. Now this expositionally weighted moving average. Let me erase this. It is the volatility model which is recommended model for forecasting volatility by the risk matrix group. So there are different matrix group. So one of the risk matrix group where this particular model is being developed through statistician, that is EWMA, and it is recommended model for forecasting volatility by the risk metric group. Now the EWMA, that is expositionally weighted moving average, is widely used in finance. So right now you all are into finance specialization. So please remember, in finance specialization, this particular method or model is being used for measuring volatility. Which tool is being used for measuring volatility? Can you answer me? In finance, which tool? Which tool is being used?
So EWMA.
Yes, EWMA. Please remember this, because this kind of say answer in one sentence. So there you may be asked, or they may give you some options that EWMA is used in, say, weather department, in finance department, production department, and marketing department. So correct option you will have to select. That is, correct option is finance department, finance area. EWMA is widely used in finance. Even others are also using, but remember this one, widely it is being used in finance. Even weather department and other department, they also have a use of EWMA, because this is the model. So that model can be used by anyone, not necessarily that the entire finance department uses, but mostly all widely it is used in finance. Now the another is ARCS. Now in your syllabus, this word is being mentioned, ARCS, ARC. Now what is this ARC? Again, look at the long form. A stand for ATO, A for ATO, R for regressive. Let me indicate, because this is one of the common word. A for ATO, R for, look at here, this R, sorry, this R for regressive, ATO regressive. C stand for conditional, and H for heteroscedasticity. So R, it is auto-aggressive, conditional, heterodicity. It is a statistical model used to analyze volatility in time series in order to forecast future volatility. So it is a time series. Now suppose if you want to measure that every after budget, now generally when budget is declared by government, in which month budget is declared? Hello? In which month budget is declared by central government? Any idea? In the month of February, 1st February budget. Now, suppose if you are observing after budget next day, what is the Sensex rate? Sensex rate. So every year you are recording Sensex rate after presentation of budget. So what is the change? So this is known as time series. Every year in the month of February, on the next day of budget, maybe 1st February or maybe 2nd February, whenever budget is presented on the next day, what is the fluctuation in market rate, that is in regards to the Sensex, that is being recorded, and why it is in order to forecast future volatility. So maybe in future, maybe after 2-3 years, what would be impact of budget can be predicted. So this is our autoregressive conditional heteroscedasticity R, and EWMA, it is known as exponentially weighted moving average, EWMA. Let's continue the next slide. There is another word, GARCS, which is known as GARCH. GARCS. What is this GARCH? It describes financial market in which volatility can change. So it basically, it is being used in financial market. Which describes financial market in which volatility can change, becoming more volatile during periods of financial crisis or world events, and less volatile during periods of relative calm and steady economic growth. Now at a world level, now say for example, at a world level, now recently there was a war between Russia and Ukraine. So this was at a world level, and there was an impact. Now this thing can be recorded because of this Ukraine and Russia war. What has happened on the economic growth? Another example, this pandemic situation, when it happened in the year 2020, and last 2 years, more or less it continued 1.5 years or sometime 2 years. Now even other countries like say China, they are observing a lockdown. Now in our India, we do not have lockdown. We are working, but in China, you might have heard that last month, Shanghai and other cities of China were observing lockdown. So because of this pandemic situation, what was the financial crisis in China, in India, in European countries, in developing countries? So that sort of information, where on the basis of this information, when results are declared, that is known as GARCH. Vice versa. Suppose if everything is fine, there is no climatic adversity, or there is no political adversity, even health wise also, there are no diseases or worldwide spreading diseases are not there. So that time, how was the economic growth? That is also being measured. So that measurement is known as GARCH. Understood? When GARCH is used, GARCH basically describes financial market in which there are changes. As I give the example of say pandemic situation, or maybe financial crunch. So that time the GARCH model is being used. Now the difference between ARCH and GARCH models have become important tools in the analysis of time series. So it is important tool in the analysis of time series data, particularly in financial application. So these models are especially useful when the goal of the study is to analyze the forecast volatility. I'm giving you 1 minute. Everyone, please read this GARCH, ARCH, and GARCH, and then ARCH and GARCH models, where it is to be used and how it is useful. Read out this, because from the examination point of view, you may be asked short note on this area, GARCH, ARCH. If you are asked, or maybe EWMA, exponentially weighted average moving. So that kind of long form and some information may be asked in examination. So please do remember this. Everyone, please read out this slide. And still, if you have any doubt, please ask me. Otherwise, we will go to the next slide, next and last slide. Read this slide. After this slide, then we have one more term which is known as VAR, that is related to the value addition. VAR. Now, what it is, that is the next and last term related to the statistical model that we will learn. Are you done with the reading? Done or you are reading?
Yes, sir.
Done? Okay. Now let's go to the next and last slide of unit number 2. VAR. VAR stand for value at risk. V stand for value, A for at risk. VAR. So this is also one of the financial metric. It is a financial metric that estimate the risk of an investment. That estimate the risk of an investment. Now, this particular investment, what is the risk involved that is being estimated through this financial metric? So, VAR, it is a financial metric. Please do remember. What is VAR? What is VAR? Yes, please. What is VAR?
So value at risk.
Value at risk. And what do you mean by VAR? It is financial metric that estimates the risk of an investment. That estimates the risk of investment. So I think VAR is a very useful tool at an individual level as well as company level. So more specifically, VAR is a statistical technique used to measure the amount of potential loss. So basically, potential loss is being measured that could happen in an investment portfolio over a specified period of time. So basically, VAR, which measures the potential loss involved with that particular asset. So that loss is being measured. So that at individual level, you will be cautious. You will be cautious, and then you will take a decision, appropriate decision rather, what to do. So there will not be any confusion. So I think VAR, it is more crystal clear technique. It is a financial metric that estimates the risk of an investment. And then next one is an experiment usually has 3 kind of variable. So this particular VAR having 3 different variable. The first variable is independent. Then the second one is dependent, and the third one is control. So these are all again statistical tools which are used in research area. Independent variable, dependent variable, and control one. Now independent. Let me give the statement. Suppose if you make statement that if I do not attend regular lectures, my result may come down. Now, your result and attending regular classes, these are the 2 different variables, but they are depending on each other. If you attend regular classes, then your result will be higher. And if you do not attend regular lectures, your result may go down. So attending lectures and getting result, these are depend on each other. Now what is independent? Independent means one variable do not have impact on another variable. So they are separate. That is known as independent variable. One variable do not have impact on another variable. That is independent. And dependent means one variable has impact on another variable. That is known as dependent variable. Now third category is control variable. Control. What is this control? In research, suppose if you are observing the total production of rice, so you have prepared the field of, say, suppose if total field is of 5 acre, so every 1 acre area, and you have soiled in all 5 different areas rice, and in one area you have given all the required pesticides, water, everything to one area. Second area, there you have used only, say, pesticides, but water is not being given. Third, where you have given only water, and now you are collecting the total yield of rice from these 3 different area, and you are measuring. So that is the example of control group. Let me give another example. Now suppose if there are, say, students who are studying engineering degree. So one group of students have given all kind of study material. They are also given extra tuition, regular classes, and another group of students, they have not been provided study material. They have not been given say extra classes, but only regular classes are given. And both groups are having same examination, and then their results are being compared with each other. So there one is control group, where everything is given, that is known as control group. Everything means they have been issued study material, they have also given extra classes, and they have also asked to attend regular classes. So this is control group. Another group, that is uncontrolled group, where they have not been forced to attend lectures, they have not been forced to study material, they are not given study material. So that is uncontrolled group, and then results are compared, control group and uncontrolled group. So this an experiment usually has 3 kind of variables: independent, dependent, and control. So this was about VR, value at risk. So in examination, if you are asked VR, GARSH or ARSH, please do write this kind of information in GARSH, ARSH, and VR. So before we close today's session of Unit 2, any doubt so far? Any doubt?
No, sir.
So shall we close our session? Shall we close our session?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Thank you all. Good night. Good night.